there, welcome to Penny Saves Paldea, where I take the fails of Scarlet and Violet and turn them into a generous dose of copium-laced fanfiction. This video will be in 3 parts. Part 1 will wrap up the little cliffhanger from my last Penny video, and Part 2 will be my take on an improved battle between pre-boss Harrington and protag Juliana. Feel free to skip ahead if that's why you clicked on this, no hurt feelings. Each part will incorporate a glitch from Scarlet and Violet into the story, so in Part 3, I'll show you what those glitches are. Let's get started. Penny never goes anywhere without proper equipment. Once inside Ortega's office, she sits down in his swivel chair and lays her EV bag on her lap. From there, she extracts a thin, tablet-like collapsible monitor and a trifold keyboard. She lays them out across Ortega's desk, which is quite comfortable to sit at. If she has to get stuck frantically planning countermeasures to Juliana's attack, this isn't the worst place to do it. "We need to know everything we can about Juliana and Arvin," she says as she taps her phone. It immediately recognizes the hardware and connects. The keys glow with a soft blue light, and the monitor lights up with a mirror image of the phone's screen. "Ortega, start talking, please."
What?
It's obvious you and Arvin know each other,
says Giacomo as he glances at his phone.
Also, Juliana's taken out 3 members already.
Ortega huffs in protest.
We knew each other as kids. That's it.
When no one buys this excuse, he relents and steps behind Penny to look over her shoulder as she types.
Okay. Look, the last time I saw Arvin, we were both 8 years old. My family provided the angel funding for his mom's research, so we always had access to her data and prototypes and all that stuff before anybody else did. Sometimes my parents would make me and Arvin hang out at her lab. I'd bring this double-stacked bento box with me for lunch, which Arvin always thought was the coolest thing ever. One day, his mom was extra busy, and we didn't know where to sit and eat, so I started looking.
"Not to rush you, but we only have so much time before Juliana takes out our first line of defense," Penny says, her fingers itching to put her devices to good use. "I could use the short version here."
8 members down,
says Giacomo.
I'm getting there, all right? The quick version is that something in his mom's lab terrified me that day, and I never wanted to go near her or Arvin again.
He grits his teeth and faces the corner of the tent.
Arvin doesn't know. He thought I'd suddenly decided he was below me or something.
"I'm sorry," Penny says, hoping to strike a balance between sympathetic and "can we please hurry it up?" "What do you know about him now, though? What's most important to him that might get him over to our side?"
I don't know anything about him now,
Ortega says. He pulls out his phone and taps through his contact list.
I still have his contact info, but he blocked me a while ago. I blocked him back out of spite at the time, but hey, ya!
Penny has already snatched Ortega's phone out of his hand by the words "blocked him back." She fumbles around in her bag, pulls out an extra cable, and adds Ortega's phone to her setup. The monitor shows a split screen, and she enlarges the one displaying Ortega's data first. After a quick glance at what she has to work with, her fingers fly across the keys, her brain happy to communicate in a language that doesn't have a million different ways the receiver can misinterpret the message. This model of Rotom phone doesn't really block new messages. Instead, it stashes messages from unwanted senders in a trash folder, set to be deleted. And even then, phones of all types are horrible at actually deleting data.
14 members down,
Giacomo says, his normally cool and collected tone waning. Arvin must have decided to unblock Ortega at some point, because, with a little bit of prodding, Penny finds several recent messages from him. Ortega looks more and more upset as she scrolls through them, starting with one from the last school term. "Hey, no, we haven't talked in a while, but Mabistiff is hurt bad. Or sick, maybe? Potions and centers aren't helping. Does your family know anyone who could help?" The next message is dated a couple months later. "Been doing some research. Have you heard of this stuff called Herba Mystica? Think the Titan Pokemon might be connected to it. I'll go check them out, but I could use some backup. Please?" Then the final message, sent at the start of term. "Forget it. I'll find someone else to help. Or go on my own. Have a nice life." Ortega rubs at his eyes.
That's important to him. Mabistiff was always there for Arvin when his mom wasn't. If it's sick, Arvin would do anything, and I mean anything, to help it. I'm kind of shocked he's with Juliana instead of hunting down one of the Titans now.
He keeps his voice as steady as he can manage, while Giacomo looks thoughtful.
Juliana's up to 20 wins now. Hey, you think she's helping Arvin with this Titan thing? She seems strong enough for it.
Let's assume that's the case for now, Penny says, then continues her work. In short order, she also recovers some odd spam messages from the supposedly deleted data. She's set to ignore them, but the awkward phrasing catches her eye. The world is unstable. Odds of saving are... accompanied by an image file. Finding it clear of any malicious code, Penny previews it. A photo of a tandem mouse, its two faces blank, a number written across each of its stomachs, 92. Odds of saving are 92? Okay, that's ominous. But then Penny sees this wasn't the only such text Ortega received. Scrolling down, she spots two more nearly identical ones. The first from a week and a half ago, and the second from only yesterday. The messages are the same, but the numbers on the two tandem mouse have changed. 89 and 86. So, according to whoever sent these, the odds of us saving Paldea are going down? Penny shakes her head. It isn't like her to waste time on nonsense like this, especially when there's little of it to waste. Any idea what these are? She shows the text to Ortega, and he shivers.
Ew, creepy. But no, I haven't seen anything like that.
Doesn't look like a mass text, Penny says, but it could easily be some creep who doesn't like your family. She rescues them from the trash bin for further investigation later.
Mr. Harrington's fighting Juliana for her 30th win.
Giacomo announces.
And, this happened.
He turns the phone around to show the group the white glow of a Pokemon in mid-evolution. Juliana came in here with a Tinkatuff, and now it's a Tinkaton. A very maniacal-looking one at that. On the ground beside it is Dashbun falling into a faint. Does it change our plans? Penny says. And anyway, it would be rude to embarrass Juliana by beating her too quickly. Wish I felt a fraction as confident as that sounded. She unplugs the two phones and returns Ortega's to him, along with Sylvian's Pokeball. She knows Moonblast, Quick Attack, Baby Doll Eyes, and Shadow Ball, she tells him. When he hesitates to take it, she adds on, it's only if you get backed into a corner. Now, let's get the Starmobile and show them what Team Star is made of. When the Team Star trio reappears on the field, things aren't looking great. Grunts are knelt down beside their fallen Pokemon, feeding them potions and revives, along with every sort of drink the vending machines can spit out. Mr. Harrington has recalled Ortega's fainted Dashbun and sent out a Meowth. Not normally a Pokemon he battles with, Ortega notes to the group. It's more of a companion. He must be giving this his all for Ortega's sake. Penny has her eyes on Tinkaton. It lets out a shrill cry and raises its hammer in a showy fashion. But it also looks fatigued. Maybe Ortega won't even need to use Sylveon. Don't you have any other Pokemon? Arvin asks Juliana. You can't use one for everything. It'll run out of moves.
I know that, and of course I have other Pokemon. Do I look like the type of person who would lose my Pokemon?
Well, that sounded aggressively defensive. Penny thinks. Maybe Juliana's one of the people whose Pokemon simply vanished in the series of anomalies. Or perhaps one of them has run away from her? Either way, Juliana does take Arvin's advice, recalls Tinkaton, and sends out another Pokemon, this one in a Premier Ball. A blast of cold blows across the field, accompanied by a mighty roar and a bulky, white-furred body. Arvin staggers back. When did you get a bear tick?
Honestly, I stumbled into a terror raid with a bunch of trainers that were way better than me. It's been my stronger Pokemon for a while, especially after I gave it all the experience candy I had. But it usually ignores me, or attacks at random.
She puts her hands on her hips and taps her foot.
I wonder if it gave those other trainers a hard time, too. Once I terrestrialized Tinkatuff, they all kind of vanished from the raid.
Arvin doesn't look comfortable with any of this. Penny wonders if they should evacuate the base before Juliana's Pokemon decides to freeze it over Team Plasma style.
They must have been intimidated by how strong Paratick is,
Juliana says with a weak, uncertain laugh.
But I bet it listens now that I've got Larry's gym badge.
Juliana quickly pulls up her Rotom phone.
Let's see. Beartic knows Blizzard, Rest, Superpower, and Sheer Cold. I'm not happy with its moveset, but I haven't really got time to change it around much. And, Superpower is a fighting move. Beartic, use that.
She tucks the phone away and turns her attention back to the battle. Beartic roars and charges full force into Meowth. Penny winces, expecting to see the poor little thing flattened. This Beartic is high level. Well, not on Sylveon's level, but it could certainly hold its own against any of Ortega's team, and that's concerning. But when the dust settles, the audience lets out a collective gasp. Meowth has taken heavy damage, but it's not knocked out.
Yes. My little Meowth does love her focus sash.
Harrington laughs.
Now then, use Spite.
Meowth growls and swipes at the air. The shadow of its claws stretches out and forms a gloomy, dark purple haze around Beartic. The massive Pokemon shakes it off, but looks confused when it goes to raise its paw again. Juliana groans.
Superpower's been drained. Beartic, use Blizzard. Keep blizzarding until we win!
Meowth, endure. Then use Spite again.
Harrington calls out. The pint-sized little cat digs its claws into the ground, bracing itself against the freezing chill of the blizzard attack. She's hardy and determined, even in the face of everything working against her. Actually, it reminds Penny a lot of that lost Sprigatito she rescued in her dorm weeks ago. Meowth and Beartic have comparable speed, and this time Meowth gets the upper hand. Spite takes out all of Beartic's uses of Blizzard, causing the second move to fail. Harrington orders a Play Rough next, and Juliana orders a Sheer Cold. This time, Beartic goes first, and Sheer Cold lands. Meowth faints instantly in the blast, and even from a distance, the Rugby Squad members shiver. So much for good luck, Penny thinks. Harrington gives Juliana a polite bow before stepping down and handing the stage over to Ortega. He gives the Starmobile's engine a good loud rev as he pulls it forward. The billowing pink flag energizes all the watching members. Ortega then stands on the seat and announces the start of the match. Juliana recalls Beartic and sends out Tinkaton as her first Pokemon. The shiny heavy hammer is enough to strike fear into the heart of any fairy-type enthusiast. It certainly makes Penny shudder. Ortega has his work cut out for him. That's all for the story itself. Now let's take a look at what glitches showed up here. In part 1, we had the Infinity Train Tandemouse. Tandemouse and Mousehold were the subject of some creepy glitches. If you were weirded out by Infinity Train, it's like that, but worse. The first involved the encounter animation. Sometimes they would just not have a nose or eyes, but they'd still get all reddish purple in the face. The second was a glitch discovered by Pokemon archivist Lutu. See the link in the description for his channel. Here, Mousehold has what looks like random lines of code just materializing all across their little bodies. Ew. These two glitches combined were just so off the wall that rather than make them into a standalone event or punchline, I used them as a recurring way for Penny, Arvin, and the crew to gauge Paldea's survival odds. In part 2, we had the Disappearing Raid Pals glitch. When you start a raid, and it shows the 4 players beside each other, the wide shot will often be missing one or more of the players, even though there's clearly space for them to be there. It's far from the biggest of raid glitches, and the story will eventually get to those too, but I could see it throwing Juliana off all the same. Part 2 also had a bit of a reference to the one-hit KO move glitch, but I'll cover that in the next chapter, where it causes way more chaos. That video will be out on October 19th, and it'll wrap up Penny's current plot arc. In November, I'll be starting a new arc with a different format. Lots of fun stuff in the future. Before I sign off here, a quick thanks to our regular crew of Mad Hat, Stick Studios, and Troll for doing the voices of Harrington, Ortega, Juliana, and the awesome animation as well. Bonus thanks to Lutu for letting me use the screen caps he managed to take of the creepy Mousehold glitch. If you liked my review videos, you will definitely like his stuff too, so go check his channel out. I'm getting off this microphone to go work on the next Penny video, so until then, happy reading and happy training.